Good evening, friends and comrades. Marhaba biyal al Sadiqa wa al Rifaq Masal Khair. So that is to say, good evening, dear friends and comrades in Arabic, and good evening, welcome, hello. మిత్రులారా, వీకెండ్స్ విత్ వేదిక కార్యక్రమంలో భాగంగా గాజా అండ్ ద వర్కింగ్ క్లాస్ అనే కార్యక్రమానికి స్వాగతం. ఫ్రెండ్స్ అండ్ కామ్రేడ్స్, వెల్కమ్ టు టుడేస్ టాక్ ఆన్ గాజా అండ్ ద వర్కింగ్ క్లాస్. I am Dr. Suresh, working as a professor in public health dentistry and moderating the session on behalf of Vedika moderators team today. We have listened to a very energetic song, Long Live Palestine and Crush Zionism. This song is suggested to us by Speaker Comrade Anand. And this song is from the Indian revolutionary rock band Anushtup. You can follow Anushtup's YouTube channel for more revolutionary songs. Few instructions for those comrades who are relatively new. This is an audio meeting. You cannot see any video. This is being telecasted on Discord, Vedika Discord channel. This is parallelly being live streamed on Vedika Facebook page and Vedika YouTube channel. The links are posted here in the text channel. Those comrades who want to share the links to help your friends, those who cannot join Discord, can share the links so that they can follow the talk on Facebook and YouTube. In order to be able to listen to the talk clearly, please connect your device. Please connect to your device by earphones and connect to a good broadband internet. Moderator's team is monitoring the talk from different places. If there is any technical glitch, we will rectify it. On your side, if you have any difficulty in listening to the speaker's voice, you can check your internet and earphones and check the device volume. You can also try to disconnect and rejoin the voice channel. If still the problem persists, you can bring it to our notice by texting in questions information text channel that you can see here. After the talk is over, you can send your questions by texting in questions information channel. But please do send your questions only after we invite you to do so. In the meanwhile, you can note down your question and you can send when you are invited to send the questions. Those comrades who are following the talk on YouTube and Facebook can send your questions by texting in the concerned text box. The questions sent in Discord channel will be prioritized. Yesterday, we listened to Comrade Anand talking on the present state of inhuman genocide being perpetrated by Israel and Gaza. He also spoke about the history of the Palestinian occupation by Israel and the role of imperialist powers played since the creation of settler colonial Israel. Its Highness is aggressive policy on Palestine from the beginning. Comrade Anand also spoke on the complacency on the part of the world leaders, including the leaders of the Arabic countries and also India. Today, Comrade Anand will talk on the question of nationality of both Palestine and Israel from a working class perspective. He will explore the history of Palestine people's resistance. He traces how the leadership of the people's resistance has changed from secular organizations into Hamas in Gaza. And he also speaks on the courageous resiliency and the determination of Palestinian people who are continuing to resist Israeli aggression. He also reflects upon the activities of the organization that he is representing, Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine, IPSP, and global campaigns such as BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. Uh, and he also speaks on how international solidarity movements, especially the working class movements, can be a powerful tool in this struggle for justice. Comrade Anand, as I said, he is an activist, Hyderabad-based activist in Indian people in solidarity with Palestine. Comrade Anand, I welcome you on behalf of Vedika moderators team and on behalf of all of us in the uh, voice channel today. Uh, you can unmute and you can start talking.
Thanks, comrade. So, friends and comrade, so today I'm going to talk about the issue of Palestine from working class perspective, because as I discussed yesterday, the ruling classes all over the world have betrayed the cause of Palestinian people, and including in our country. So we can't hope much from the rulers of the world, but certainly when it comes to working classes and the toiling masses in different parts of the world, it is the solidarity expressed by ordinary people that is the key in the ultimate victory of this Palestinian liberation struggle. So, for that reason, we need to understand a little more deeply what exactly we mean by national liberation movement, and what exactly is nation, and what is national oppression, and in what way Palestinian nation is being oppressed, and whether Israel can be called as a nation or not. So, in order to understand this, we must first try to understand what exactly is a nation. And for that, I find Stalin's definition of nation the most accurate one, because he provides a very comprehensive uh, definition which consists of all the aspects of a nation. So I'll just read that definition. A nation is a historically constituted, stable community of people formed on the basis of a common language, territory, economic life, and psychological makeup manifested in a common culture. So, here in this definition, Stalin talks about different aspects, and each and every word in this definition is very important, because uh, you can have some of these aspects in any particular area, but unless we have all these conditions are fulfilled, a particular group of people cannot be called as a nation. So basically, it is a historically constituted, stable community of people, and that is formed on the basis of a common language, territory, economic life, and psychological makeup. So basically, when we try to understand the Palestinian question from the light of this very well accepted definition from the working class perspective, we find that Israel does not uh, cannot be called as a nation, because before 1948, uh, the people who later on uh, migrated to Israel and started living in Israeli state, they were many of them were living in different parts of the world, different parts of Europe. Some Jews people were living in Poland, in Romania, in different parts of Eastern Europe, in Russia, in Germany, and all. So they were part of those nations in which they belong to, and uh, they might have their some religious ritual which were common, but otherwise there was hardly anything in common between a Jews from let's say Poland and a Jew from Russia. So that that way they are part of their own nation. So if Jews living in Poland was part of Polish nation, and Jew living in Russia was part of a Russian nation. So there was no, as such, concept of Israel as a nation at that time. So uh, because there was no common territory, because that is the most important, one of the most important criteria for being a nation, that a nation should have a common territory. There was no common territory because Jews people were living. Now they have the right to go back to their land. That also is not very plausible argument, because uh, like the people who were persecuted uh, thousands of years ago, that revenge cannot be taken in the modern times, because for centuries now, before 1948, that was inhabited by the Palestinian people. The Arabs were living in that land. So uh, they were in the process of forming a nation in that, and because there was an element of modernity in Palestine by the late 19th century itself. And this national consciousness was emerging in Palestine. So if at all there was any nation, it was the Palestinian nation, because it fulfilled all these criteria of being a historically constituted, stable community of people uh, on the basis of common language, territory, economic life, psychological makeup, and a common culture, basically. So, uh, uh, Jews who were living earlier in ancient times, they were persecuted. That is a historical fact. But then that historical injustices cannot be now corrected by expelling the already existing people in that land. So after that, the expulsion from that land in ancient times, the Jews migrated to different parts of the world, different parts of Europe, for example, and they, when in medieval era and in modern times, when modernity came in that part of the world, they became part of those nations, as I told in the beginning, that uh, some became part of Polish nation, some became part of Russian nation, some became part of German nation. So they were part of their nation. They were also speaking their languages in which they were living in. So they might have only some common thing, might be some rituals which were common, but just because of some commonality of religion or ritual, uh, we cannot call them as a nation. So it is very clear that from working class perspective, there was only one nation, that is the Palestinian nation, and there is no reason to believe that there is any legitimacy for Israel as a nation there. And it is also true that the Jews were persecuted, they were discriminated against, even in modern times in in the countries in which they were living. But that is true for any modern capitalist society in which minorities are persecuted, they are discriminated against. That is the problem of capitalism. In India, also, we can see the Muslims are persecuted, there is discrimination going on. But the solution for that is to fight for equal rights, democratic rights, minority rights, consistent democracy. That fight, that cannot be termed like, the solution cannot be that they must form a separate nation. And we have seen in India itself, in Indian subcontinent, what has been the outcome of this religious-based nation. We've seen on the it led to the tragedy of partition in Indian subcontinent, and the result of this we are still suffering. And this religion-based nation of Pakistan itself could not survive for example, the unity of East Pakistan and West Pakistan could not be ensured for a very long time because there was no common thing except the religion. So religion as a basis of a nation has hardly worked in any part of world. So this idea that Jewish form nation does not have any kind of rationale behind it, behind this basically. So uh, that means that Palestine is a nation, and Palestine is a nation whose people are being forced to leave their land. Yesterday we spoke about Nakba. The origin of Israel as a state coincided with a great massacre, expulsion of large number of lakhs of people from their land. Their farms were captured, their overall livelihood were destroyed, and they were forced to migrate to other countries, and they are still living as a refugees in many countries of the Arab world. So basically, that is the tragedy of the nation of Palestine. And yesterday, we also spoke about the fact that the Palestinian people have been resisting against their national oppression by the Zionist Israel and earlier the British imperialism when that land was under the control of British imperialism. The Palestinian people were struggling against that also. So uh, now that we understand that it is the Palestine as a nation which is has the legitimate right to exist, and Israel does not have any legitimate right to exist. Uh, we can talk about what kind of form the national liberation of Palestine has taken place over the period of history. So basically, when any nation is oppressed and when it is fighting for its national liberation struggle, the working class must support this right of national self-determination. That unconditionally it must be supported because that is a very natural democratic right which must exist to any any kind of uh, oppressed people. And in fact, that is not any kind of socialist demand. Also, it is, if we see, it is a bourgeois democratic demands of right to self-determination. It is another thing that the capitalist class has abandoned this demand, and now the history, the progressive role of the capitalist class has ceased to exist, and it is the working class which has consistently raised and supported this demand of national self-determination in different parts of the world. So right now, if we are talking in 21st century, Palestine national liberation struggle happens to be the most important, most significant national liberation struggle in the world. And yesterday also we spoke about the significance of this national struggle. It's not just for Palestinian people, it's for the entire Arab world and also for the entire world because it is linked with this imperialist system in which we are living in. So basically, uh, when we are talking about this national liberation struggle, they are often over a period of history, there are different types of solutions which are uh, suggested. For example, all of you might be knowing that there are some people who talk about two-state solution. There are some people who talk about one-state solution. But from working class perspective, we have seen that this two-state solution, even at the theoretical level, is not very viable. And because Israel, the existence of Israel as a nation is questionable. And even in practice, we have seen that whenever this kind of two-state solution is being talked about, in reality, it has not led to any kind of withdrawal of the settler colonial project in any manner. Uh, we've seen that this, as part of the so-called Oslo Accord, there was an attempt made to implement some kind of this two-state solution, but that failed miserably. And uh, the main reason was that it this two-state solution does not offer the answers to some very crucial questions. For example, this question of illegal settlements that have come up, especially after 1967 Six-Day War, and in the occupied West Bank, there are so many uh, illegal settlements now more than, I think, more than 2 lakhs illegal settlers are having their settlements there in the occupied West Bank. And uh, now, as part of this Oslo Accord, this the curb on these illegal settlements was hardly spoken about. It was not implemented to whatever extent it was agreed. Also, the illegal settlements continued to expand even after this Oslo Accord. So, similarly, the question of refugees, the Palestinian refugees who reside in lakhs in the neighboring countries, that question completely is completely ignored whenever this two-state solution is being talked about. So, without addressing these very fundamental questions, one cannot really move in the direction of any resolution. So that's the reason we've seen that even theoretically also it is the Palestinian nation which has the right to exist. Uh, so ultimately it is going to be some kind of one state solution, in which, of course, when we are talking about a resolution, those Jews people who have now come to live there, they will not be expelled. They'll be part of a common secular democratic society in which everyone will have equal rights respective of their religion. At the same time, there has to be some kind of trial against those people who carried out crimes against humanity. Something like Nuremberg trial also should be part of any kind of resolution. The kind of genocide that's Netanyahu is doing, the people like uh, earlier, so many presidents and prime minister and Israeli politicians, these Zionist leaders, their crimes cannot be forgiven in whenever we are talking about any kind of resolution. So that is very important when we are talking about expressing our solidarity and our support to the Palestinian people. Of course, it is for the Palestinian people to decide what kind of which direction they want to take their movement. It is not for us to dictate that. It is for the people of Palestine to take. But we can certainly talk about our assessment of the situation based on the historical experiences. And historical experiences have suggested that this kind of two-state solution has not been uh, able to resolve this precisely because it does not address the fundamental issues there. So now we can briefly talk about the, the history of this Palestinian liberation struggle and what is the stage right now when we are talking 2025, when there is already a genocide is going on in Gaza. Uh, so, uh, so basically, it started even before the existence of Israel, when in 1920s and 1930s, the systematic migration of the uh, Jews were supported and promoted by the British imperialist powers. The resistance against this kind of the migration, because these settlers who were now coming and started living in different parts of Palestine, and they obviously had to uh, have some kind of conflict with the local people, because already there are people living there. Uh, Even though there was a myth that was being spread that Palestine is without land, the reality was that uh, Palestine was the land of Palestine. The myth was that Palestine is the land without people. The reality was that Palestinian land was inhabited by the Palestinian people. The Arabs were living there, and Arabs means not just the Muslims, even there were Christians, there are some Jews, Arab Jews also who were living there, and there were some tribal people there. So that is what is basically all of them formed the nation, basically, who were living in that land. And there was some conflict with this settler, and that led to the resistance movement. And and of course, after the when Israeli state came into existence, supported by the imperialist powers, that resistance also grew. And over a period of time, it took a very radical form also. There were many different types of uh, uh, the leaders of this national liberation movement. The most popular and well-known organization was PLO, a Palestinian Liberation Organization, which had different factions. Fatah was one faction that was led by Yasser Arafat, and then you had PFLP, uh, that was led by George Habash. So which was a leftist organization. So many leftists were also part of that movement. And there was a time in 70s, late 60s and 70s, PLO was very radical, and their overall approach was secular. It was not raising this issue from any kind of religious or theological perspective. It was raising from purely national liberation movement. And that that was also the time when there was a wave of uh, Arab nationalism, pan-Arab nationalism, uh, throughout the Middle East, and that also was one of the reasons for increasing support and popularity of the Palestinian resistance. So, so that was a time when there was this secular leadership that was dominant in this liberation movement. But what happened, especially after 1980s and especially after this 1990s, this Oslo peace process and all, this secular leadership, especially the Fatah section of this PLO, uh, kind of they started doing some compromises, and even the pan-Arab nationalism uh, at a decline in 1970s and 80s. So the leadership of that national liberation movement of Palestine, that's there was some kind of leadership crisis by 1990s, and the lack of credibility of this secular leadership, and there was some kind of vacuum by 1990s because of this compromising nature of PLO. So on the other hand, there was some other developments that were happening in Palestine. In 1987, there was the first Intifada, which was a spontaneous people's uprising against the Israeli settlements, projects, and this overall colonial settler colonial project of Israel. So that was very radical movement in which the ordinary people started resisting, even though the leadership was trying to make some compromises. People took it to their hands, and so these were the developments that were happening in 1980s. And in 1980s also, this organization called Hamas came into existence. In fact, it came into just at the point of origin. It was started as a branch of Muslim Brotherhood, which is a religious fundamentalist organization based in Egypt. And in fact, in the beginning, Hamas was supported by Israel as a counterweight to this growing popularity of PLO. And and the irony of the history is that when PLO kind of surrendered or kind of started doing compromises, uh, it's when its radical tone, radical character was toned down. Uh, it was precisely at that time the character of Hamas also changed. And in that vacuum of 1990s, when the PLO was retreating and it was surrendering, it was with a kind of compromising. The aspiration of national liberation of the Palestinian people, that aspiration of late came to be represented by Hamas and its own character because of this mass pressure from below, that itself underwent a change, and it started uh, basically being more radical and more autonomous and out of the control of Israel or any US imperialism. And by uh, early years of this 21st century, Hamas, their popularity started increasing, especially in Gaza. And by 2006, they became so popular that they were elected by the people of Gaza as their representatives. So when we are talking about Hamas and their character of Hamas, we must understand this in this historical context. So as we discussed yesterday also, that this resistance, first of all, we have to understand that the national liberation struggle of Palestinian people did not start with on October 7, 2023. It has a very long history, and it was not always led by Hamas. And the resistance, the history of resistance dates back to the even the origin of Hamas. So we must keep this history in mind. So when we say that we support the national liberation struggle of Palestinian people, it does not mean that we support the ideology or the leadership of that movement. And it is very important people confuse between the leadership and the movement per se. So the ideology of the leader supports the national liberation struggle of the Palestinian people. Uh, it is a fact of history that this national liberation struggle at this moment of history is being led by Hamas, which is having an ideology which is not very progressive, which definitely takes its inspiration from religion. And and also say that we, the working class, but Hamas on the one hand, Hamas or Hezbollah on the one hand, and the other Islamic fundamentalist organizations like Al Qaeda, Boko Haram, or Lashkar-e-Taiba. These there is a difference between the Hamas and Hezbollah on the one hand, and other kinds of religious Islamic fundamentalist organization, because uh, the organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah have their anti-colonial aspect in that organization also, and that makes it a part of that national liberation movement, even though its ideology may not be very progressive. And that, if we see the history of colonialism in different parts of the world, there have been occasions when the movement, the national liberation movement, was led by some organizations or people who did not have very progressive ideology. For example, we can see in the case of India also, if we read the history of Indian uh, national liberation struggle against British colonialism, we see so many instances in which there are so many leaders in our freedom movement who were not very, if from their ideology could not be called as very progressive. For example, we can talk about Tilak, who was whose ideology was very uh, that way reactionary. He was very conservative when it came to social issues. He was supporter of child marriage. He was for the use of religion in politics. But at the same time, he he cannot be equated with the organizations like RSS, because RSS did not have any anti-colonial character, whereas people like Tilak had that anti-colonial character also. Similarly, we can talk about the revolutionary movement in India. If we see the early revolutionaries in India, the organizations like Yugantar or Anushilin, they were also inspired by religion. They used to take oath in the name of Kali Mata. So uh, they're not very secular in that sense, and that was one of the reason why in the early period of revolutionary movement in India, Muslims could not join, because it was mainly inspired by Hinduism. It was only with the um Gadar movement that it took a secular turn, and finally with Bhagat Singh, this HSRA was built, in which it took the socialist direction. But the early revolutionaries were inspired by religion. So when we are talking about assessment of any movement, we must make that distinction about the ideology of any organization and actually its real character in the form of the stand taken in the real struggles of people. And that way, Hamas right now is able to express the aspiration of the Palestinian people at a time when the secular leadership and secular and progressive leadership has by and large compromised, by and large surrendered before this onslaught of settler colonial project of Israel and the nexus of US imperialism. It is Hamas which has, at this moment of history, has come to lead that movement. So if the secular and democratic, secular and progressive organizations are compromising, the people of Palestine will not wait for a new secular leadership to arrive. They will fight with whatever organization is able to lead that movement. And at this moment, it is Hamas which is leading that movement in most consistent form. So that is the reality as of now in the struggle of Palestinian people. Maybe in future, you never know that that also might change, and new organizations might emerge. So our stand should be that we support the national liberation movement of Palestinian people, and it is for the people of Palestine to decide what kind of leadership they have, or what kind of forms they are assuming. And there is also this much talk of violence being used. That also, I think we must discuss, and we must make a distinction between the violence of the oppressor, the violence of us, colonial powers, and the revolutionary violence of the national liberation warriors. So, for example, if we are taking this position that we are against all forms of violence, then uh, we would have to uh, criticize in our own country, for example, people like Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, who all uh, took resort to revolutionary violence as against the British colonial system. We'll have to criticize in that case the 1857 Gadar, the first liberation movement in a national movement in India, basically against the uh, British rule. First people's uprising in India. That also people in India used violence against their oppressors, against the colonial powers. So, uh, if we don't make this distinction, then we'll always have to uh, basically uh, criticize and question even the progressive and revolutionary movements in every part of the world. In fact, if you read the history of anti-colonial struggle in different parts of the world, in all the third world countries of Asia, Latin America, and Africa, people have used violence against their oppressors, and it is only in that process that people achieved their national independence. And India, it has if it has achieved national independence, it is not just because of non-violent means, as is largely talked about. Even in Indian national movement, there were many occasions in which people did use violence. 1942, for example, the Quit India movement, or the uh, different parts of the phases of revolutionary movement. Uh, Indian revolutionaries used revolutionary violence against the British colonial system. So that also we must be clear that on this question, if we are criticizing uh, the Palestinian people that they use violence, then we are falling into the trap of the rulers. That's what they want to project, and that is the way to, in a way, justify this settler colonial project of Israel, because that's how this logic of self-defense comes, that Israel is doing in its own self-defense. Uh, in reality, it is Israel that is the main culprit, which is which is the main entity that is responsible for all kinds of violence that is happening. So even if some Israeli civilians are being killed, it is the responsibility, the onus lies on the Israeli settled colonial state. So that also we must be very clear when we are talking about a working class perspective in Gaza right now. And even otherwise, the kind of asymmetry is there in the violence. On the one hand, you have this constant genocide going on. The children are being killed, not just by bombing, but by hunger, malnutrition, and starvation. Uh, Even they are attacking on aid seekers also. So this kind of inhuman atrocities that Israel has been committing, that has no parallels, in fact, in the history, like the kind of violence it is using. So those who talk about violence of Palestinian people first need to understand that what kind of violence the Israeli state has been using, the U.S. imperialist powers have been using in different periods of history. So without understanding uh, all these aspects of the national liberation struggle of Palestinian people, we will not be able to take a very consistent position, because often people are confused on this question, whether we support Hamas, whether we support the Palestinian liberation struggle, or whether the we support violence and all. So basically, uh, any colonial power uh, do not have the right to self-defense, uh, because all colonial powers use this logic of self-defense to justify their own violent and oppressive and repressive measures. So, in case of Palestinian national liberation struggle, also we must apply that. Basically, the this asymmetry of the violence and the violence of the colonial power being the source of all kinds of violence in that region. So, yeah, now we can talk about uh, Indian people's role in this national liberation struggle. Of course, as we discussed yesterday, that now this struggle and the resistance of the Palestinian people is no longer confined to Palestine. It is no longer confined to Middle East. It has become a global movement, and uh, people in different parts of the world are coming out openly in support of Palestinian people, just the way they did uh, come out in support of uh, all kinds of colonial, anti-colonial struggles. And very recently, we had seen that in case of South Africa, the apartheid regime in South Africa, people across the world came out in support of the resistance of the people there, and that's the reason why apartheid regime fell. And this international global solidarity movement in support of South Africa, the people's resistance in South Africa against this apartheid regime, was very crucial uh, in the overthrow of that apartheid regime. So similarly, uh, now there is a global solidarity movement going on in different parts of the world, and that is also putting a lot of pressure on this Israeli regime and the U.S. imperialist power. So there are people who are hitting streets in different parts of the world. They are on a very regular basis. They are taking part in the protest, and people from different sections of life. They are joining: students, youth, the people, the workers, the trade unions, and all. So now the question is that what should be the stand of Indian people in this kind of environment? We discussed yesterday that the fact that uh, there has been a long history of India supporting the Palestinian cause. In fact, uh, that history goes back to 1930s when this resistance of Palestinian people started. And at that time, our leadership of Indian anti-colonial movement in India, people like Gandhi, Nehru, they also supported the Palestinian cause. And in fact, Gandhi very clearly said that just as France belonged to the French people, uh, Britain belongs to the English people, Palestine belongs to the Arab people. So there was no doubt at that time in the national movement in India that it is the Palestinian people who have right to form their nation, and Israel does not have any right whatsoever. So even after the creation of Israel, uh, even after Indian independence, there was not much support for Israel. In fact, there was no formal diplomatic relations that was established with the Zionist state of Israel before 1991, this neoliberal era, the PV Narasimha Rao that was formally started. But for the initial decades of after independence in India, even the governments used to openly support the Palestinian people's resistance and their right to self-determination. And that all, obviously, when the people in India, the people had support and sympathy and solidarity for the Palestinian resistance in post-independence initial decades. And as the situation changed, as this neoliberal era emerged, as this kind of US imperialist hegemony started becoming very dominant in 1990s, and there was a kind of illusion of unipolar world. At that time, the government of India also shifted its stance on many issues, including on this issue of Palestine, and started establishing diplomatic relations with Israel, and it started tilting towards Israel. So that started even the during the Congress regime in India. So it's that also must be kept in mind that it did not start with Modi government, did not start with the fascist. It started the Congress regime, and just as the neoliberal policies were started with the Congress government, the pro-Israeli stand was also started, and even during Manmohan Singh government's time, there was a very cordial relation with Israel, even though formally it used to call, uh, it used to talk about the Palestinian support for Palestinian state to exist. But that even the Modi government formally will talk about Palestine also to exist. But their tilt is very obvious now, and they are not just tilt; it is open support to Israel because of, as we discussed yesterday, also the kind of weapons that they provide, the kind of surveillance equipments they provide, which is the need of the Indian ruling classes, and fascist need it most. And that's the reason, this is the material reason why there is increasing shift towards Israel, and a kind of abandonment to the Palestinian cause, kind of betrayal to the Palestinian cause. So, so as we said in the beginning, now we cannot hope the ruling classes to basically now lead that movement to for the solidarity of the Palestinian people. It is for the people, the ordinary people, the toiling masses, the working class that has to take that initiative, and that in that context only we need to talk about our role uh, at this moment when this genocide is going on. So basically now I can talk a little bit about our organization, Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine, what we are doing and what we believe is the correct approach to take on this stand. And in that way, uh, despite being so far away from Palestine, we can still contribute in this resistance of Palestinian people, just as people across the world are contributing and they are becoming part of this global resistance, global solidarity movement. We Indians also needs to be uh, basically think seriously what could be the possible ways. We have found some of the ways. We still need to explore what other ways are possible. But I can talk about our experience so far as part of Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine. In fact, this organization was started way back in 2014 and 2014-15, when this Israel carried out bombing on Gaza at that time also. It was not so severe as it is happening now, but that for uh, for many days, for around more than a month, that bombing was going on. And in response to that, there was, on the one hand, solidarity movement in different parts of the world, But on the other hand, in India, there was a complete silence. When mainstream left parties were also not talking much. So it was in that context that this organization was started. And that time we started this campaign because that was the time when Modi government had come to power, and open uh, open cordial relation with Israel, and the Indian government was also not saying anything against the bombing of Israel. They refused to discuss that issue in the parliament also. So in that context, we thought that we should raise our voice, even if we are very few people. We should raise that voice, and that should be made as an issue in India also. That very heinous crime is being committed in one part of the world, and people of India should also take stand. So that was the context in which the Indian people, in solidarity with Palestine, began. And we started doing campaigns in different parts of the country wherever we were present at that time. So we started organizing programs talking about the Palestine issue, because there was hardly any information available at that time. Uh, and it was the mainstream media that was again giving the same logic of self-defense, and the Palestinian people are terrorists. They are using violence that is condemnable and all. So all against all this misinformation, we also try to spread the correct information through our programs in universities, colleges, in working class localities. So wherever uh, possible, we were doing that, and we organized many programs at that time, and we organized a kind of seminar also at that time on this Palestinian issue. So in Delhi, that was organized. So that was the context in which this organization started, and we also for some time we started this BDS campaign, the Boycott Divestment Sanction campaign, because that is an old campaign that's I think that started even a decade ago, before that only. So we got to know about this movement of boycotting Israel, the complete boycott of Israel, not just the the kind of diplomatic boycott, but boycotting that all the products of those companies that support Israel. Of course, we have to boycott all the Israeli companies. They are directly involved in that genocide and this settler colonial oppression of Israel. We also boycott those companies, including Indian companies, uh, which are investing in Israeli companies, which are opening uh, their plants or their offices in the occupied territories. So, apart from that, we also, as part of the BDS campaign, there is also the campaign to pressurize these companies to divest or disinvest from these companies. In many parts of the world, many companies have, in fact, disinvested. Many universities have basically snapped their ties with Zionist Israel as part of this BDS campaign. And sanctions, basically, the Israeli state, uh, because of its crimes against humanity, there must be sanctions. So that's what is the BDS campaign. Uh, and we started that at that time also in 2015 also. I remember we started that campaign. Uh, that was not on a very large scale, but we did go to many localities with this some kind of stickers of those products, and to inform people that some kind of genocide is going on. Of course, that at that time this was not so severe as it is happening for the last 20 months. That bombings stopped after around a month or so, and so that was the backdrop of our organization, Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine. So after that, we were continuing our social media pages. We were sharing information related to whatever is going on in Palestine, because even when there is no genocide going on, even when there is no bombing, the conditions of people living in Palestine is miserable. In Gaza, there was siege even when this bombing was not going on. No kinds of humanitarian aid, food supplies, medicines. Uh, these things were not allowed, and also there was no um, basically there was we also got to know that there was already much before this current escalation, there was this thing of water crisis in that Gaza. It is not going to be livable for very long, and the huge unemployment, the kind of hunger, malnutrition, these problems were already going on even before this current escalation. So we were sharing all these information through our social media pages even before that, even before the current, even before October 2023. Also about West Bank, whatever is happening in the occupied West Bank, the fact that people were resisting uh, the settler colonial project, and there are many kinds of non-violent resistance. We showed many movies. I remember way back in 2015, which showed that how people have not only always used violent means. They have, in fact, most often they have been using very non-violent means. Uh, there's a movie called Five Broken Cameras, in which it is a story uh, of a peasant son living in a village, in which the Israelis are trying to capture their land, and this guy just captures this expansion, the occupation, through his cameras. In that process, five of his cameras are broken, and he made that movie based on those clippings of those five cameras which he took. So that I will recommend everyone to watch that movie. That shows that people have been using most often the non-violent means, and still this occupation did not stop, and still that settler colonial project continued to expand. So it's not because the Palestinian people became violent that Israel has to become violent. It has always been violent. Israeli occupation has been always very violent, and we just need to read the history of this occupation to know that fact, basically. So that means even before October 7, these problems were going on, and the issue of Palestine in India uh, was still not many people were aware about this, whatever is going on in Palestine. But after October 7, uh, now this new development happened, and Israelis, we were sure that there is going to be Israeli attack after that, and then uh, we also started speeding up our activities as part of Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine through social media, and also uh, we started taking part in the protests. We started giving call for protest uh, from October itself. We did protests in many parts of country, and uh, we try to raise this issue, and through our pamphlets we try to uh, spread the real story of this issue, real history of this issue. And in Hyderabad, for example, we organized a musical program. We invited the revolutionary music band, which Comrade Suresh was talking about. The Anushuk band performed here in Hyderabad. It was dedicated to the struggle of Palestinian people, in which this Long Live Palestine and many other songs on Palestinian liberation struggle were, we organized that basically. Uh, and now recently, in recent months, we've started BDS campaign also formally, and this time at much larger scale as compared to 2015. And those of you who are aware, you can watch on our social media handles the kind of activities which we are doing as part of this BDS campaign. We have prepared a list of those companies who are directly involved, who are complicit in this occupation, in this genocide, who are funding this genocide. They include not just Israelis or American companies, they include the companies such as the Indian companies such as Tata, Reliance, Adani, because they also have very close nexus, close collaboration with this Zionist Israel. So in recent months, we have done many protests in front of their outlets of these companies which are complicit in this genocide. And we have tried our best to spread this information through our, we have issued a new pamphlet in which we have explained our position, what should be the position of Indian people, and in which our overall detailed position is provided in that. So that also can be read, what is the correct position on that. And we believe whatever we have been doing is very small. It needs to be spread, and more and more people should join this movement in India, because as you all must be following, in different parts of the world, people are taking part in the protests, and there are huge protests in different parts of the world. In India, so far, that kind of big protests are not happening. But if this kind of movement is spread, and if there is increasing awareness of whatever is going on in Palestine, and especially in Gaza, whatever is going on, the kind of humanitarian crisis that exists, very few people in India know about that, because the mainstream media has not basically provided the correct information. It is mainly the Zionist Israeli position that is dominant in the mainstream media, and that's the reason even people at large also do not know much about them. Because when we go to the people in working class locality, in different uh, lower middle class colonies, we find that not many people are even aware about this issue, about Palestine, about Israel. And some who are aware have pro-Israeli position. Even in universities and colleges, we find that there is increasing uh, communalization of this. There is a communal understanding. People consider it as a Jews versus Muslim issue. So, but when we provide our argument, when we try to convince the people, we also realize that people also are convinced. It's not that they are adamant and they are not ready to listen. The ordinary people, most of the our responses in all different parts of India, we are doing in many cities in India. Uh, Overall experience has been very positive, and we believe that these kinds of campaigns need to be spread further in among, especially among the youth, through social media, through creative means like art, music, cinema. uh, we This kind of movement needs to be spread, and we are very confident that if uh, more and more people, especially the youngsters, join this movement, we can still make a big movement in India, and in India also, that as part of this global solidarity movement, uh, we can make a positive and uh, correct opinion about the Palestinian resistance, and that will definitely help the cause of Palestinian people. Of course, there are many people who are also planning to be part of that humanitarian aid, and they're at the global march. Global actions are also taking place. So all these are possible ways to basically contribute in that process of national movement, national liberation movement of Palestinian people. And we, from Indian people in solidarity with Palestine, we also believe that this This movement needs to be expanded further, and already we are witnessing that in just a couple of months, so many new people have joined this through social media. If you see the reaches of our recent campaigns, there are so many new peoples in different parts of India who are showing interest. That means that it is mainly the lack of awareness. It is mainly the this misinformation by the ruling classes that is the main reason for uh, basically not many people coming out in support of Palestine. If we spread the correct information, it's if we spread in the right manner, if we go to the right people, that means the working people, the ordinary people, the toiling masses of this country, the students and youth, the justice-loving, sensitive people of this country, we can make a build. We can build a big movement, and that will also, of course, will help us in putting more pressure on the government of India and the different state governments, because uh, we are aware that they have very close relation with Zionist Israel, not just in the arena of defense. There are so many MOUs have which have been signed with many state governments. There are many cultural and academic activities that are going in support of with the collaboration of Israel. We need to target all such academic, cultural, musical programs of Israel and Israeli embassy, and there are different companies that basically are all those companies that are complicit with this Zionist Israel. We need to do it at a much larger scale than what we are doing right now, and so basically there is a lot more to be done. Whatever we have done is very small, but whatever small we have done based on that experience, we can say that it is possible to do it, and this is the right time to do it, because the direction this overall global imperialist system is taking is going to lead to much more violence, uncertainty, unpredictability, chaos in different parts of the world. And as we discussed, Middle East is that region where all these contradictions are most sharp, and the issue of Palestine represents that kind of principle knot. It is a kind of a volcano which can erupt anytime, and it can spread people's movement not just in the Middle East but throughout the world, and that will help uh, building uh, movements within our own country for people's right against fascism also. So that way, it is very important to be part of this movement. All those who are justice loving, who think about a better future for humanity, who still have not stopped dreaming that it is possible to have a society in which there is no violence, there is no exploitation and oppression. Uh, it is very important to not just talk about Palestine, but to take part in all kinds of activities, from protests to cultural activities to campaigns to BDS kind of activities. This is the time basically to be more active to whatever we are doing. There is a need to do more on this question of Palestine. So I will end with a quotation of a uh, very renowned Palestinian revolutionary, Hassan Kanafani, who spoke about this Palestinian cause, and which is very relevant to today's time also. He said that the Palestinian cause is not a cause for Palestinians only, but a cause for every revolutionary, wherever he is, as a cause of the exploited and oppressed masses in our era. So basically, it is much more relevant to current times, because genocide which we are witnessing, the humanitarian crisis that we are witnessing calls for global action, and justice loving people are uh, expressing their solidarity. We in India also need to do more. I think with this, I will conclude my talk, and we can start the question and answer session.
Yeah, comrade, please take 2 minutes break. In the meanwhile, I have some announcements, and then we can take questions. Friends, comrades, we listen to Comrade Anand speaking on day two. Uh, Please send your questions by texting in questions information text channel. And please confine your questions to the topic that is discussed. Uh, and those who are following the talk on YouTube and Facebook, you can send your questions by texting in the relevant comments box. We can provide present those questions to the speaker. However, the questions posted in Discord will be given preference. We are running a YouTube channel, Vedika YouTube channel, where you can access all the earlier talks. The recordings of the earlier talks are available. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can easily access the earlier talks. The details of the Vedika talks can be accessed on our social media handles, the links for which are posted here. Uh, yes, you can see the links posted in the questions information text channel. We are also running WhatsApp group to share the details of Vedika talks and also to share the resource materials shared by the speakers. Uh, you can find the link here to join the WhatsApp group. You can join the WhatsApp group following this link. And this group is admins only group where you can find only the details about uh, the Vedika talks. There is an open forum. You can see it next to the questions information channel. You can initiate or participate in the discussions in this open forum while the session is not in progress. And comrades, as Comrade Anand was informing us, we requested him to share the social media handles of Indian people in solidarity with Palestine and BDS campaigns. Uh, he shared the links with us, and we are posting all the social media links of IPSP, Indian People in Solidarity with Palestine, and BDS. Uh, the links are posted here in questions information channel. So please, you can join the social media handles as requested by Comrade Anand, and we can join the voices against the Israeli genocide and in solidarity with Palestine by joining these social media handles. Yeah, Comrade Anand, if you are ready, we can take the questions.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, Comrade. Uh, so the first question is from Ravi. He's asking, uh, we heard that even now, Palestinian people are killed every day. Is it true?
Yeah, so I mean, there is no doubt. Even the Western imperialist media is telling that. So there is no doubt on that count that uh, Palestinian people are being killed on every single day. You just need to follow the accounts, and not just Palestinian people, the babies, the newborn babies are being killed. That is the real face of this genocide that is going on. Uh, did I understand the question correctly? Only because it is.
Yes, Comrade. Yeah, that is the question.
Okay.
Yeah. And Arun is asking, We are witnessing spontaneous working class movements, and at the same time, Israeli genocide is going on. What is your opinion on this?
Uh, so yeah, of course there is a link, and that link is capitalism. The spontaneous working class movement is also in response to the problems created by capitalism, the kind of crisis the capitalist system is going through, the kind of inflation, the kind of unemployment, the cost of living crisis that is going on in every part of the world, and that is leading to these spontaneous working class movements. So, and as we discussed, the genocide in Palestine by Israel is also very much linked to this global imperialist system. And so the same system is also causing so many upheavals in the society in terms of the crisis, economic crisis, and the same system is causing this genocide. So these are the basically manifestation of a inhuman system which has outlived its utility. It's high time that we need to think about overthrowing this inhuman system.
Avinash is asking, when we speak about Palestine, some people reply to us, why don't you speak about Hindus in India or Bangladesh? Uh, I want to ask you, speaking in support of Palestine uh, somehow has become like those who talk in support of Palestine are considered as supporters of Muslims or terrorists. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, basically this kind of whataboutery is done mainly by the right wingers and the RSS supporters, uh, because this assumes that we are taking this stand in support of Palestine on the basis of religion, because we are taking this position because Palestinian happens to be Muslims. Uh, they don't understand that uh, one does not need to be a Muslim to support Palestinian cause, and we support all causes, all just causes, all kinds of exploitation and oppression of any people living in any part of the world. Not we don't consider on the basis of religion that if they are Hindus, then we'll support. If they are Muslim, then they'll support. It is their way to look at the reality, because the question can be asked to them that uh, do they support all kinds of oppression? For example, uh, they, even for Hindus in India, forget about Bangladesh, do they support the uh, kind of atrocities that are committed against Dalits? They do they oppose that? Do they build any kind of movement against them? That they never do. So they are not for all Hindus also. They are for those Hindus who are in ruling class position, and all their argument comes from that communal worldview which they carry. We, on the other hand, we do not have that communal vision, that any issue, according to us, is not, it might appear on the face, on the surface, as some kind of religious conflict, but if we dig deeper, there are certain material interest involved. And even in Bangladesh, whatever is going on, we need to understand those material interest and those economic crisis that is going on in Bangladesh or in Pakistan. If we have to really uh, do something about not just Hindus but all kinds of working people in Bangladesh or in Pakistan, because it's not only Hindus in Bangladesh that are being persecuted. It is all kinds of working people, all kinds of justice loving people are being oppressed there, or exploited. So now those uh, those questions are actually should be directed to them, that whether they are against all such kinds of exploitation and oppression. On we are definitely for all kinds of exploitation and oppression happening in any part of the world, and that's the reason we are speaking in support of Palestine, not on the basis of religion, uh, but on the basis of this very just right of self-determination, because we Indians also have been the victim of colonialism. We have fought for our freedom, and it is very natural that we should support the Palestinian people. And Palestinian people also do not only consist of Muslim. They are Muslims are in majority, but Palestinian people also include Christians. They also include Jews and tribal community also. So we are talking about the national liberation struggle of Palestine, not from the religious angle.
Okay, Tejashvi is asking, can the Palestinian struggle become a part of broader class struggle against global capitalist structures?
Yeah, definitely there is a very clear link, because uh, it is this global capitalist imperialist system that is responsible in the main that whatever is going on in Palestine. So uh, that is part of the class struggle. If people are taking part in the protest, it is also indicates that it is the class struggle against imperialism is also getting intensified, and that's the reason we should do more. We should take more, like we should involve more, like those who want to talk about an alternative to capitalism. It is must to basically take part in anti-Israeli, anti-imperialist struggle happening in any part of the world. So Palestine issue at this moment has become that center point around which people should be mobilized. And definitely it is because the contradictions of imperialism is most sharp there. It is whatever is happening is going to have its impact in this global imperialist system also. So yeah.
Gautam Marxist is asking, if Israel does not qualify the criteria for a nation, how did Stalin support formation of Israel? Uh, how did Stalin support proposal for the formation of Israel in the United Nations? Is it not a blunder on the part of Stalin, who himself gave the definition for nation?
Yeah, I think yeah, it is good question, because it is really ironical. I also wondered what could be the reason. I try to find the answer. And the only, I also agree that it was a blunder basically done by the Soviet Union, and Stalin was present at that time. So whatever I could find so far was that the kind of environment that was created, especially in the aftermath of the Holocaust, uh, there was a huge sympathy for the Jews in different parts of the world, and even the communists also started talking about their basically the right of Jews as a nation to exist, and that was the context in which Soviet Union also supported that UN partition plan, because that also became a very big issue at that time after the Second World War ended. That now what is to be done with this issue of Israel and Palestine, and now you have lakhs of uh, Jews who have migrated there and they are living there. What is to be done? And then this partition plan was proposed. So that was supported by Soviet Union also. That is a fact of history, and I believe that was a blunder.
Okay, comrade. Amulya is asking, what is the stance of Indian left parties on the Palestinian struggle? How they are understanding Palestine-Israel conflict, and to what extent Palestine?
Yeah, so Indian left parties, of course, on the formal level, they support Palestinian right to self-determination. Uh, but at the same time, uh, whatever we expect from a communist party, which is not just a formal support, but to build a radical mass movement, that is found wanting in case of Indian left parties. In fact, if we see in last few decades in this neoliberal era, they have also been part of the governments, at least from outside, uh, during this Devegowda government and Manmohan Singh government and all. So it's not as if they were able to build uh, the public opinion in favor of Palestine through very militant mass movements in India in support of Palestine, just as they do very ritualistic uh, movement on workers issue also, like they'll have some ritual of one day general strike every year. Similarly, on Palestine question also, they will do once in a while some protest, uh, just to as a routine, not with the aim of building a mass movement, with the aim of spreading the correct information about the Palestinian issue among the masses of this country. So, for example, uh, this this is the time when the genocide is going on for last 20 months, and so many people are being killed, children are being killed. This is the time to be more active, to go to the masses, to spread this correct information, to expose the settler colonial project of Zionist Israel. That they are not doing. So only some formal one day protest, and then some press release, and then some statements. That's it. That going to the masses to uh, run some consistent campaigns, that they have not been doing. So that just as they have betrayed the cause of working classes, they have also betrayed the Palestinian cause also, even though formally they might talk about Palestine.
Uh, yeah, comrade. Some members are typing the questions. In the meanwhile, so can we elaborate a bit on like the possible reasons for Indian left not to be uh, so seriously involved in this, and even how should we understand arrest of the activists in Kerala, those who are demonstrating in support of Palestine? So how should we see this?
Yeah, you rightly pointed out that the real test is that when you are in the government, you could do more. But then here they are doing precisely the opposite. They are arresting the pro-Palestine activists. They are repressing the movements in Kerala where they are in power. So how do we understand that? I think we need to understand that basically they have given up the path of revolution, the betrayed the cause of socialism, the cause of working classes. So when a party uh, basically deviates from its ideology completely, and only in the name it remains a communist party, then its deviation will be reflected on all issues. It is being reflected on the working class issue. It is reflected on the caste question issue, on various kinds of oppression, uh, and similarly, it is reflecting on this national oppression of Palestine issue. So I feel that the root lies in their ideological, not just deviation. I should now call it is a departure from the ideology. They are no more communist parties. They are just the namesake communist party, and so it's not surprising. So they are acting as a kind of second line of defense of the bourgeois system only. So basically, we need to understand this their behavior on the question of Palestine in this their larger betrayal to the very ideology which they claim to represent.
Yeah, yes, Comrade. So Rajyam is asking, Hamas attacked Israel in 2023. So is it considered terrorism based on that alone or what? Has it carried out any other attacks? I know Hamas was originally pro-Israel, so why should it go against Israel now?
So first of all, I don't consider even 2023 attack as a terrorist attack. As I said in my talk also, if we consider that as a terrorist attack, then we'll have to consider all kinds of uh, revolutionary activities in India and in all freedom movements in all those countries which were victims of colonialism as terrorism, because violence was used in all such movements, and even civilian lives were lost. So that I don't believe that that can be called as a terrorism. In the sense the ruling classes pictures it as, because of course this there was the element of violence in that. So that way, if we want to call that as a terrorism, then it was a terrorist uh, uh, tactics to terrorize the ruling class or oppressor. But it was not terrorism in the sense the ruling classes use that basically. So yeah, Hamas has been carrying out many such attacks, and of course, this was the biggest such attack. It has been doing such attacks in throughout this history of last uh, couple of decades also, and so basically that must be understood as a kind of militant resistance against the occupation of their land, and they they have come to represent this movement. And I, as I told in my talk, that how their character got changed. So both the character of PLO as well as the character of Hamas got changed, and that happens in history, that an organization which for some time at one time in history played some progressive role can at different period of history and play a regressive role. And that also can happen, that an organization which started as a kind of entity to counterbalance the rise of PLO in the in 1980s, because of the vacuum that was created in 1990s after the compromising nature of PLO. Now this because Hamas was active in Gaza, uh, and they were doing all kinds of social reform work. And it is the pressure from below, pressure of the masses from below, that its character was changed. And now they came to represent the aspiration of the people of Palestine who were feeling betrayed by the PLO. And that's how they came to basically lead that movement. And in that process, now, as at this moment of history, they have come to lead that movement. That is a fact of history.
Pooja is asking, how is the conflict between Israel and Palestine helping the present fascist regime in India?
So it is basically this the way this conflict is presented that is definitely helping the fascist regime, because this is being presented as a religious conflict, and here also the victim uh, here predominantly Palestinian people are Muslims, so their resistance is presented as an act of terror, and the action of Israel is represented as action done in self-defense. So this kind of distorted presentation of this conflict by the fascist regime and its media is definitely helping to strengthen its own communal and anti-Muslim and fascist worldview, to spread that this myth that Muslims are terrorists and everywhere Muslims create problems and they attack innocent people and all. So basically, those who do not have any sense of history, they fall under their trap, and they also their this kind of communal understanding of history of society, that in any society the conflict takes place because of the difference in the religions. This kind of very distorted understanding is spread, and this definitely this issue, this presentation, this issue in that manner helps this communal worldview.
Okay, comrade. Gautam Marxist is asking another question. Is two-state solution possible in a situation where Israel occupied 80% of land? Is it possible to vacate Jewish settlements in occupied Palestine territory? If not, what is the solution? Iran is not accepting two-state solution.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier also, this two-state solution is really not viable, and it's not even uh, it has not been working in reality, because as you rightly said that this 80%, almost 80% of the land is occupied, and not just that, this occupation continues to expand every single day. These illegal settlements are being constructed in that occupied West Bank territories. So this continues to expand, and all this talk of two-state solution, which often formally supported by the imperialist powers also at times, because they are the ones who uh, basically uh, planned that Oslo Accord and all. So that in reality, they also know that this is just a way to misguide people that they are doing something. In reality, this does not address the very core issues of these illegal settlements that continue to grow. It does not address the problem of refugees, because they are very clear that if suppose refugees are to be included in this solution, then overall strength of Palestinian people will be the huge majority, and that way uh, they can't basically agree to that. So that way it is not theoretically also it is not correct. Practically also we have seen it is not happening. It is not viable. uh, if at all it was seen in practice that this is going to end some kind of conflict in the near future, we could think about any such kind of solution, but it is not happening right now, and even in future does not it is not likely to lead to, because it does not address the core issues. So the other solution is one state solution, which is the common state, which is a secular state, which where people belonging to all faith they have the equal right. That basically uh, will give the same right to the Jewish people, those who have migrated and now settled, and also to the Arab people. That must include all the refugees also. How that solution will be realized, that will depend on the class struggle, that will depend on the national liberation struggle of Palestinian people, and how the anti-imperialist struggle world over progresses.
Okay, comrade. Tejashvi is asking, how do left activists reconcile supporting Palestinian national liberation while critiquing or distancing themselves from existing militant Islamist factions?